Because of why I search the deep through endless nights, no time to sleep. The call inside I can't deny. I'll find the light because of why.
Okay, so when you think of the Bahamas, what's the first thing that comes to mind? It's probably this, right? Gorgeous beaches, crystal clear water, a total paradise for the rich and famous. And for a long, long time, it's also been a paradise for their money. But there's a lot more going on than what you see on the postcards.
And yet, tourism is huge for the Bahamian economy. I mean, it's over half of their entire GDP. But there's another massive industry quietly at work, offshore finance. It makes up about 15% of the economy. And it's the reason the Bahamas has this global reputation that goes way beyond its beautiful coastline.
So let's get into it. What actually makes the Bahamas a tax haven? We're going to break down the laws that built this whole system, what it means for big global companies, and, this is really important, what it's like for the people who actually call these islands home. First thing to know, the Bahamas' status as a tax haven didn't just happen by accident. Nope, it was built. It's a legal framework that was specifically engineered to attract money from all over the world by getting rid of the very taxes that most countries depend on. For an international company, the benefits are just staggering. Check this out. There's no corporate income tax, no tax on your capital gains, no inheritance tax, no wealth tax. This isn't just about a lower tax rate. We're talking about a near total absence of taxes on making money, and that is the main attraction. So, what was the key that unlocked all of this? It was something called the International Business Company, or IBC. The IBC Act back in 1990 was a complete game changer. It made it super simple to set up an offshore company and legally guaranteed a 20-year break from any potential future taxes. It was basically a giant open for business sign to the world. And did it work? Oh yeah, the response was just explosive. In only the first 9 years after the law passed, more than 100,000 of these companies were set up in the Bahamas. This huge wave of business just proved how much demand there was for this kind of financial setup. Okay, but wait a second. What about the 400,000 people who actually live there? If the government isn't taxing company profits or big incomes, how on earth does it pay for things like roads, schools, and hospitals? Well, the answer shows a completely different side to the story. And this is where you really see the two different worlds. The government has to get money from somewhere, so it leans hard on consumption taxes. People who live there pay a 10% value-added tax, or VAT, on almost everything they buy. Import duties are incredibly high. Like the tax on a car can be almost 100% of its price. Plus, you've got Social Security and property taxes. It's truly a tale of two tax systems. This quote from someone living in the Bahamas really just says it all. The country's tax system is designed to benefit people who are generating massive wealth. So while it's a no-tax zone for foreign money, it's a very, very different reality for the folks who live and work there every day. Now, the story doesn't stop there, because that old-school image of tax havens as some kind of financial Wild West with no rules, that's pretty much ancient history now. A ton of international pressure has forced a huge shift toward regulation and transparency, and the Bahamas has been right in the thick of it. To really get why things had to change, you've got to go back to the beginning. The Bahamas' role as a financial haven really started way back in the 1930s, attracting American money. And from those pretty humble beginnings, it grew into this super complex hub in the global financial system, just like this map shows. And all that complexity, it eventually brought a lot of unwanted attention. I mean, back in the day, these operations were almost laughably simple. A high-ranking U.S. official once told Congress that corporations with hundreds of millions of dollars were basically registered to nothing more than 2 shacks in Nassau. It was the golden age of the shell company. But this timeline really shows the dramatic shift. That freewheeling era that started in the 90s, it led to the Bahamas getting blacklisted in the year 2000 by the Financial Action Task Force, which is basically the global watchdog for financial crime. That was a huge wake-up call. It kicked off 20 years of reforms, leading to new laws in 2018, and by 2022, a compliant rating on key international standards. So what this all means is that the old stereotype is just, well, it's old. That whole suitcase full of cash idea is long gone. Today, the financial industry in the Bahamas is a highly regulated place, built around global rules like Know Your Customer and anti-money laundering standards. And all of this brings us to a much bigger, more complicated question.
Is using a tax haven a brilliant business strategy, or does it actually cause real social harm? And this isn't just about the Bahamas, it's a huge global conversation about fairness and what we owe each other.
First off, it's super important to get this straight. There's tax evasion, and then there's tax avoidance. Evasion is straight up illegal. Avoidance, though, is about using legal loopholes to lower your tax bill. But here's the controversy. Critics say it often breaks the spirit of the law, even if it follows the letter.
And this is really the heart of the whole debate, right? It's a fundamental conflict. On one side, a company has a legal duty to its shareholders to make as much profit as possible, and that includes keeping taxes low. But on the other side, there's this argument that corporations have a social responsibility to pay a fair share to support the public services in the places they do business.
So that leaves us with this massive question. Is this kind of financial planning just smart, efficient business in our modern, globalized world? Or does the fact that it even exists point to a huge flaw in the international tax system, a system that lets incredible wealth be disconnected from any kind of social contribution?
I'm really curious to know what you think. Is it smart business, or is the system broken? There's definitely no easy answer. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for hanging out with me for this explainer. And if you want to break down more big topics like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button. See you next time.